afternoon, everyone. I wanted to talk about the signals and the process that I would personally follow in order to make use of the signals. So you can see the Kiwi USD triggered at 6:14 a.m. On October the 14th. So we'll go to the chart. But before we look at the technicals or sentiment, we need to know the fundamentals. And the fundamentals is the fact that we're risk on, right? So you can go to the dashboard on the spreadsheet, and if we're green, we're risk on. That means that stocks are going to rally and the safe havens are going to dump. The dollar is considered a safe haven, as is the yen. So they're going to suffer under a risk on environment. And the Kiwi, being a risky currency, is going to appreciate, right? So that's your fundamental check. You do come to the spreadsheet, check your dashboard. Greens are good for Kiwi USD long, right? So that's that. So we've done a fundamental check, so thumbs up there. And then we look at the chart. So I placed the time that we got the buy signal. I would thoroughly recommend using your monthly pivots, because if we're bullish, then we're going to be a buy. If we're bearish, we're going to be a sell for the rest of the month, right? So that sets the precedence for the rest of the month. So you've got a long way for November, right? So assuming we hold above monthly pivot, it's got a bullish bias. So you would want to use your pivots, and having that combined with the sentiment is very powerful. So we see how we got the signal at 6, just at monthly pivot, which is fantastic for us. And we can see how we respected it as well. There we go, there's a pink line. 4 hours, split a bit sideways, but then we launched off monthly pivot there. So 6975. Zoom out again. So yeah, there's your monthly pivot, and then we were a buy, and they shorted it. And you see how the MyFX book orange line, they veered away from the average line, and that helped with the bias. It actually helped drag the average down, which made it a buy. So it's great that we're using the MyFX book data for the spreadsheet, because they tend to lead the pack. So we've got a big heads up of the move before the average line. So risk management is another thing that you need to take into account, and you'd have your stop at monthly pivot. So you could wait until 10 pips above and have your stop loss at monthly pivot. It's not going to break your bank, and you would have done incredibly well. Yeah, it's a ridiculously amazing trade you could have caught if you caught the monthly pivot sentiment combination. So that's something I would do. Use your pivots. I thoroughly recommend. It's part of the QuasiDB system that we should be implementing, because this is technical and it's very binary and scientific. It's just 1 or 0, and if you combine it with the sentiment, then you're into a winner. Let's look at the order book. So we had the stops above, as you can see, and from the reason for these stops is these guys shorten it here, and you can see why. I mean, what's that? It's a fairly decent stop. It's 11 pips. So these guys had their stops here. They could have had it up there, to be honest, because that was the node. That's where they've congregated. So yes, sort of more realistic, isn't it? 27 pip stop. So they had their stops up here. We came down. If they took profit, they would have done okay. And we had like a little double bottom there. And so we're at 6 o'clock. So the Telegram would have notified everybody that it was a buy, and it coincided with monthly pivot at 6975. So that's fantastic. And so we can see as price goes up, we're going to absorb this liquidity and watch the current positions acting as a support, because the guys selling it, we know that they're going to be counter trend and they're going to hold on to losses, right? So watch the current positions and watch the stops get absorbed, and these will transfer across, in real time. So we go across, and stops are going to get taken. Price shoots up, but do they exit? No, they hold on. There you go, big liquidity pull taken at the round number. Well, pretty much just shy of the round number, and up we go, breaking the round number now. And these guys are thinking, oh, well, it will come down. I'll just wait now. It's fine. And then don't realize that you're forming a big herd mentality. There's your current positions acting as a support. They're getting larger over time because they're at a loss. They're trying to short it. And away we go. And as you've got stops here, surely it can't take that. You know, that's like, you know, that's probably those guys in desperation now. 70, 60. And watch that node. It's obviously going to get probed, because you can see here. And up we go. It's acting like a magnet. This is acting as a support. This is acting as a target. And of course, bingo, it's taken that liquidity. And what happens is that will move their stops higher. So by doing so, it's going to probe their stops as well, of course. Because it's FX and it's a liquidity hunt. You could argue it's news driven or, you know, technicals, but it could just be a liquidity hunt. And there we go. There's those guys absolutely pretty much destroyed. There you go. They had to take their stops right at the close. And so that's that. So incredibly cruel. Just make sure you're on the right side of the trade. Like I said in my other video, you're not you want to keep an eye on your ratios, and especially if it dips in a sudden way like it did. And because we got the notification from the spreadsheet and the signal, we would have been on the right side of the trade. And you can use all sorts of technical analysis. I like to keep it fairly simple, just use monthly pivots. I know there's quite a lot of stuff on this chart, but if you just keep it simple, you're onto a winner. See, we're above monthly pivot. It was a buy because it was above monthly pivot, and it was a buy because of the sentiment, and it was a buy because of the fundamental parameters. So, and the VIX is getting crushed, and that's going to hurt the dollar. So I guess I don't really need to talk too much longer. I'll just say about the search tool. And then I'll do a little promo thing at the end about the promo code. Oops. There you go. So he's bullish, isn't it? And there's the momentum behind that move. And monthly pivots there. So that's that. And yeah, so we come to the FX SSI, go to pricing, and you can use the annual or monthly. Just use the QuasiDB code, you get a humongous discount. It would set you back $60. With the QuasiDB code, it costs you $20. I went for the annual, and it's a huge savings because it's 50% saving, and you add the QuasiDB, and it's just it works out $16 a month, and so that's that. So hopefully it helps. I could make another video, perhaps maybe talk about the technicals in conjunction with the signals, but if you just keep it fairly straightforward, use your monthly pivot, use your ratios, and you can also look at the order book as well. And you look at the current positions and see how they hold on to losses as well. So those guys are all at a loss. 48.5% of people trading Kiwi USD are at a loss, and they're loss sellers. Right, so this is why we definitely want to look at sentiment and do the opposite of those guys, because they are very, very bad traders. And so that's it. I'm going to wrap up now. I'll do a COP video tomorrow morning and see how we go with that. Have a good week. And if you need any help at all with the spreadsheet or anything like that, let me know. And yeah, I wish you a good night, and I'll speak to you soon.